Hello there, and welcome to our very first video lecture on Reconstruction after the Civil War. Here we go. I know you're as excited as I am. I can't wait to go over this with you. And I know you guys are going to miss out on all the notes we were going to take because of online school. Well, don't worry. We found a way to do notes. How excited are you? Okay, first off, Reconstruction is rebuilding the nation after the Civil War. Okay, there's a couple main questions that we're going to have to deal with here, right? The Civil War is over, slavery has been abolished, but the real project of building a national society without slavery is just beginning. And what is that going to look like, right? The struggle is only just beginning. Here we go. 4 main issues facing the nation in Reconstruction. Number 1, how will Southern states rejoin the Union? They left the Union, or at least they tried to in the Civil War. We looked at that yesterday, right? They left because they were trying to preserve the institution of slavery. Now they have no slavery, but they also can't leave. And, there's a real question of, did they ever technically even leave the Union? Are they already back in? Who can be their leaders? Are we going to allow former Confederate leaders to be in the United States Congress again? What's that all going to look like? So what terms are we going to put on them? Once you do this, then you are a full-fledged state again. Because in the meantime, they're caught in this weird limbo of part of the Union, but not a full-fledged state. Are we going to make them, give Black people the right to vote, promise equality to Black people? Or are we going to allow them to establish this different kind of society that's not really equal, but doesn't have slavery, right? These are the questions facing politicians during the day. Okay, second main question, who do we punish? And how harsh are those punishments going to be? Does the United States of America say, you know what? All is well and forgiven. It was a terrible war. That's punishment enough. Come back into the Union and let's just move forward together. Or are they going to really take the time to take these Confederate leaders, these soldiers, these higher ranking officers, slave owners, and punish them to enact justice, right? Who do we punish and how harsh? And we'll see there's 2 main philosophies there. Punish them really hard, don't punish them hardly at all, and then we kind of try to find a balance. Third main issue, how will the Southern economy be rebuilt? There's 2 kind of issues going on with this. One, during the war, it led to a lot of destruction. General William Tecumseh Sherman had his little march to the sea, and in the wake of his march to the sea, he burned literally everything to the ground. Very effective military strategy, quite destructive. How are we going to rebuild that? Who's going to pay for that? Because remember, if you do it with property taxes, the people paying for that are white slave owners mostly. And that's part of that punishment question. How are they going to respond to that? Them taking on the weight of and the payments of this war? Or are you going to require or allow Northern investors to come into the South? And this is the second thing. The Southern economy was agrarian and it was built on slavery. Now that you don't have slavery, can the Southern economy work this way? And if not, is it going to be a more industrial economy? But then you're talking about Northern investors and Northern banks having influence over the South. And these old Southern elites aren't going to like that very much either. So how do you make the Southern economy work? And then the last question centers all around the freedmen. And this is probably the most essential question that really resonates with us today more than anything else is these freedmen. What skills did they have at the time, right? They were brought up in slavery. They had no home. They had no money. They had no savings. A lot of them were denied basic education. So they don't have the economic ability to move from the South. And what are they going to do for money? What skills do they have, right? How far should Northerners go in pushing for equality for the freedmen to protect them, right? And that's just going to cause a lot of resistance from those old Southern elites. And you could see more conflict there in the future. Some early ideas are floated that go really far and saying the only way freedmen can ever have equality is if they have economic equality, and see that their skill is agrarian. We ought to give them land, take land from these large plantations, give them to those former slaves, allow them to forge their own path economically. We should go as far as passing amendments that say Black people are full citizens and equal to white people. And when we should ensure that those citizens are given that equality through military control of the South, because you can't really trust those former slave owners to just suddenly stop being racist. And you can see here, this is going to be a major political issue for the next decade after the Civil War. And obviously the things that we still see today are some reverberations of our failure to ensure equality for the freedmen. That's an early intro. 4 main issues facing the nation during Reconstruction. How will Southern states rejoin the Union? Who do we punish? What's that economy going to look like? And what are we going to do to ensure equality and the success of the freedmen?